Billy Napier in Florida. Billy Napier, you listen to Billy Napier, this is a guy that Ricky Pearsall, the Florida wide receiver who was there representing the Gators, really hit on it. This is a guy that you really respect when you listen to him. Seems like just a respectable guy, and it sounds like, someone commented on YouTube, this guy, he seems like just like a good, he kind of fits the mold of like a good father. Like I don't know how Billy Napier is as a father, but I could typically the way you go about yourself speaking to others and the way you coach, usually that is a representation of how you are as a family man, as a dad. So I think Billy Napier, I'm sure, is a good family man, but besides that point, I think that Napier is a guy that in year 2, I think you're going to see even more buy-in from the Florida players. And he made the point of 93% of their team that was with them in January is still with this team. So I think that he's trying to make the point that he's trying to back up the point that the players are really buying into what Napier is promoting here at Florida. And year 2 could be all systems go for the Florida Gators. I think I had the comment, one of you guys commented, I'm not sure if you're a subscriber or not, but Florida could be sneaky good. I think that is the perfect way to put it. Florida could be sneaky good. Like, this could be a team where maybe Florida has a season where they play Utah Thursday night, August 3rd. Maybe they lose a game or 2 early, but you see them towards the end of the year start to get hot, and they're one of those teams that's, they got a few losses. Maybe they finished 2 or 3 losses, but at the end of the year they're playing hot, and they really are kind of taking on the identity of a Billy Napier team. And I think that leads into my next question. What is Billy Napier exactly? What is his identity? I haven't really, to be fair, I got to do a little more homework and see what the identity of his Louisiana teams are. But it seems like this is a team that, I think the identity that they're going to take on is it's a team that's going to be a strong, cohesive unit, a team that is just tough, is relentless, plays together, kind of a lot of things that are cliche, but sometimes are not always evident in some teams. So I think that Napier, with the respect that Pearsall touched on with the media, I think that when the coach has the players' respect, you're going to see a consistently high level of play. So I think that's going to translate to, this kind of has a feel, maybe Florida's a little bit like Penn State last year. Maybe they drop the game to LSU, and then maybe they lose another game that they're not supposed to. But I think that could be the type of season Florida has, that they're consistent, but they lose to they have 2 or 3 losses, but they're just to 2 or 3 better teams at the time. And by at the time, I mean next year. So, yeah. If you talk about talented players, Ricky Pearsall Jr., reliable receiver, former transfer from Arizona State. They also have Jason Marshall, a talented cornerback. They bring in Aiden Mizell. He's a very talented true freshman at wide receiver. So Florida, I've touched on Florida. There is pieces, there is offensive playmakers in place for this offense to really take off. We'll see what Graham Mertz does. So Billy Napier, I was interested in what he was going to say about Graham Mertz, because he had talked about Graham Mertz before, and I think he does truly think highly of Graham Mertz. He referenced him being a really good person and a player. He's a guy that has experience. I think that's something that Billy Napier emphasized in his press conference. He is looking for guys that have played a lot of snaps, experience. I think that is kind of the way to go in the transfer portal. I think that is a good approach to take, because I think he understands this is a younger Florida roster. I think you've seen kind of a lot of turnover. You've seen a lot of guys. They've had some guys. I think that there's just not as many of the Dan Mullen players kind of left. You see, it is kind of like a turn. This year is more of will be more of Billy Napier's team, but there's just a lot more of his guys via the transfer portal. But I think that the team they have now, I think that the mixing a lot of veteran guys with a lot of snaps like Graham Mertz, I think, is a good approach. And Graham Mertz, despite what you think about him in Wisconsin, this is a guy who he does have some upside in his game. I mean, fairly strong arm. I think he moves fairly well in the pocket. I think he's just got to make decisions quicker. That's one thing I kind of noticed about Graham Mertz. It looks like he doesn't go through reads as fast. I think he's just got to try to speed up his play. I think that'll be a game changer. Having a guy like Pearsall Jr. that can get open quickly, I think that'll certainly help. I think Montrell Johnson in the running game will take some pressure off him. That's what to me, Florida is built a little bit like Wisconsin. I know they do lose Osiris Torrance at guard, so I think that won't help for the run game. But I think Florida is kind of built as a team that could do some power runs, some play action, get set up some easier throws for Mertz. I think that is what's Graham Mertz's game. I think he's a quarterback that can manage the game. He's a guy that manages the game well. I think he can thrive off of do things well off of just one read play action, because he does have some accuracy, and he does have a fairly quick release, and he is fairly good in the intermediate and short range accuracy. So I think Mertz has a skill set in this Florida offense where he could have some success, but he's got to win the job. They do have the other quarterback too. That Pearsall was asked about, a former transfer from Ohio State, and he talked about that. He kind of Pearsall was respectful to both guys. Talked about what both guys did well. Talked about how it's going to be a competition. So I think that'll be fun to watch, and I think it's cool to ask the players what they think about the players, because they usually it goes back to I've touched on this before. Nick Saban says the players know who the best players are. So Ricky Pearsall, it's cool that he was complimentary of both guys. Talked about things that both guys did well. Sounds like Grant. He kind of reiterated that Graham Mertz, a good guy. Sounds like there's leadership qualities about him. So I like that what Pearsall said there. So it'd be fun to see how the quarterback race kind of unfolds in Florida. Thanks for tuning in to the Brant Parcell Show. Make sure to stay tuned for more episodes and clips from the show. Till next time, peace.